I never thought my life would implode over a single night. Yet here I was, lying on a massive king-sized bed in a hotel suite I didn't even remember checking into, the morning sun stabbing through the curtains and making me squint. My limbs ached, my head throbbed, and worst of all, I could feel the weight of Adrian Valen's gaze burning into me. Adrian, my brother's fiancé. The alpha who had been calm, charming, untouchable to everyone else. But to me, he was something else entirely. Something dangerous. Something impossible. The events of the night before were hazy, fragmented. One moment, we had been at the charity gala, politely smiling and exchanging small talk while Daxton basked in his usual golden boy glory. The next, I remembered the clinking of glasses, the laughter that seemed a little too bright, the way Adrian had leaned close when someone made a joke about family wealth. Then nothing. And now, waking up tangled in bed sheets, clothes strewn across the floor, and the undeniable evidence of our scandalous position, panic gripped me like a vice. My instincts screamed at me to shrink, to hide, to apologize before I even knew what to say. Adrian's eyes were the first thing I noticed, silver and stormy, sharp as a blade. He was standing near the window, hands clenched at his sides, jaw tight, and his usual composed demeanor replaced by something I had never seen before, raw, seething anger. "You set this up, didn't you?" His voice cut through the silence like a whip. I froze. My throat tightened. My hands trembled as I tried to sit up, only to have a wave of dizziness push me back down. What? No. I didn't. My voice was shaky, weak, barely audible. I swear, I didn't do anything. Adrian's gaze hardened. He stepped closer, the alpha dominance radiating off him in palpable waves, making my heart pound and my body betray me with a nervous shiver. "Don't lie to me, Jory," he said, his voice low, dangerous. "I know omegas. Sneaky. Calculating. You drugged me, didn't you? You wanted this." My stomach dropped. I didn't do this. I didn't want this. I just woke up like this. But how could I make him understand? The evidence was undeniable. The empty glasses on the nightstand, the scattered clothes, the position we'd woken up in. It all screamed of something I hadn't caused, something I hadn't agreed to, yet it looked as if I had. I didn't. I tried again, voice rising slightly as panic clawed at me. "I don't know who did this. Someone must have, someone drugged us. I didn't want this." Adrian's lips pressed into a thin, hard line. "And yet here we are," he spat, gesturing to the mess around us. "Here you are, looking guilty as hell, sitting in my bed, after whatever happened last night." The words cut me deep. My omega instincts screamed at me to apologize, to explain, to shrink from his anger. But another part of me, one that had been buried under years of living in my brother's shadow, forced me to meet his gaze. "I didn't do this," I whispered, my voice cracking. "I promise. I don't even remember much. I woke up like this. I don't want to ruin anyone's life. I don't want this." He laughed, but it was bitter, humorless. "You don't want it? Tell that to the photos that are already circulating. Tell that to the media who will have a field day. Tell that to everyone who will think this was your plan, your seduction." My ears burned. I had never felt so exposed, so small, and yet I couldn't look away from him. The intensity of his anger, his dominance, even his lingering vulnerability, it drew me in against my own instincts. I hated myself for it. I'm not like that," I whispered. I would never. My words died in my throat as I realized I had no proof, no way to show him the truth. All I had was my word, and Adrian didn't believe me. Couldn't. Adrian stepped closer, the air between us crackling with tension, and I instinctively shrank back. My body betrayed me, responding to his presence even as my mind screamed at me to fight, to resist. "You're lucky no one filmed everything," he muttered, voice low and dangerous. "If this goes public, everyone will think you set it up. Everyone will think you seduced me. And I'll never forgive you." "I didn't." I gasped, panic threatening to overwhelm me. I didn't. I don't know who did this." My omega instincts were in overdrive. My tail, an invisible tell of my emotional state, twitched frantically. I felt naked, vulnerable, exposed in every possible way. Adrian's face softened slightly, only for a fleeting moment, and it made my heart twist painfully. He looked torn, furious, betrayed, and yet something else lingered behind the stormy eyes. Desire? Confusion? I couldn't tell, and I didn't want to. "Not yet. I don't believe you," he muttered finally, turning away and running his fingers through his dark hair. And the worst part is that part of me wants to. I hate that I want it. My chest tightened. That pull, the alpha dominance, the dangerous attraction. It made me flush, made my omega instincts coil inside me. I hated that I felt it. I hated that my body betrayed my mind. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating, only broken by the distant sounds of morning traffic outside the window. I didn't move. I didn't dare breathe too loudly. My mind was spinning, trying to piece together what had happened, how I had ended up here, and how I was going to survive Adrian's wrath. Finally, he turned back toward me, eyes hard, voice low. We can't tell anyone about the drugs. If people find out, you'll be accused. I'll be accused. Your brother, Daxton, he'll hate us both. His jaw tightened. And yet, I can't stop thinking about last night. My stomach flipped. Oh no, I had wanted nothing at all. But the intensity in his voice, the way his silver eyes seemed to pierce into my very soul, made my pulse race uncontrollably. What are we going to do? I whispered, voice barely audible, almost a plea. Adrian froze. He didn't answer at first, just stared out the window. Then finally his voice came, low and dangerous. We survive it. But don't think for a second I trust you. Or like you. Or anything. You better be ready for a long fight, Omega. I nodded, my throat tight, feeling the weight of those words settle over me. I had no idea what I was walking into. No idea how to survive the scandal, how to navigate the storm of Adrian's anger and desire, how to prove my innocence. All I knew was that my life had changed forever in a single night. And that night was only the beginning. The days after the scandal were a blur of whispers, stifled gasps, and glaring headlines. My life, once simple and quiet, had been thrown into chaos overnight. Every time I stepped outside, I felt the weight of Adrian's gaze on me, accusing and cold, while everyone else looked at me as though I was the villain in a story I hadn't chosen to star in. We were forced into appearances together, charity events, family gatherings, and staged interviews. My brother Daxton hovered somewhere in the background, smirking like a puppet master while I tried not to snap under the scrutiny. And Adrian made it clear he wanted nothing to do with me beyond the public charade. The first time we were alone after the gala, it was in the Kale family's estate library. I had been nervously straightening papers when Adrian's sharp voice cut through the air. Don't think for a second that I'm playing along for you, he said, pacing like a caged animal. Every time I see you, I think of Daxton. And it makes me hate you even more. I flinched at the words. Hate. That was all I had from him. No trust. No understanding. Just raw, unfiltered anger. My omega instincts twitched. I wanted to apologize, to shrink, to beg him to calm down. But I also wanted to survive, had to survive, and I knew pleading would get me nowhere. I'm not Daxton, I whispered, barely above my breath. I'm Jory. I didn't plan any of this. Adrian stopped pacing, hands clenching at his sides. His eyes, stormy and conflicted, softened for the briefest moment before snapping back into cold fury. I don't care. It doesn't matter who you are. You're the one lying in my bed, wearing his scent, and now everyone thinks you're the reason this scandal exists. I swallowed hard, feeling the familiar coil of panic twist in my stomach. My body betrayed me despite my fear, my omega instincts responding to his dominance, the heat in the air making my pulse spike. I hated it. I hated that I felt anything for him when all I wanted was to survive. The days stretched on like this, a constant push and pull. Publicly, we had to smile, laugh, and act like a couple. Privately, every glance, every accidental brush of our hands sparked arguments, tension, and despite our mutual disgust, something deeper I couldn't name. One evening, during a rehearsal dinner with both families, I caught Adrian watching me out of the corner of his eye. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't pretending. He was just observing, silver eyes narrowing. My chest tightened. I had always known he was an alpha, powerful, commanding, but now I felt it in a way I couldn't ignore. It was suffocating and intoxicating all at once. I tried to busy myself with napkin folding, counting breaths to steady my nerves. I couldn't let him see me tremble, couldn't let him think he had power over me. And yet, every time he stepped closer, every time his hand accidentally brushed mine across the table, I felt a jolt in my core, a flutter of instinctual need I hated. Later that night, when the guests had left and the house was quiet, Adrian cornered me in the study. His expression was unreadable, a mask of fury and something else, something softer, though it was quickly masked again by anger. "Why do you keep looking at me like that?" he asked, voice low and dangerous. "You're not Daxton. You're an Omega I'm supposed to hate. And yet," he trailed off, running a hand through his dark hair, "I can't stop thinking about him. And I can't stop noticing you. Every time you move, every time you breathe, it reminds me of what I wanted and lost." My throat went dry. I wanted to speak, to tell him that I didn't want any of this, that I wasn't trying to replace his feelings for Daxton. But the words caught in my chest. All I could do was swallow and nod slightly, feeling the pull of his presence, the raw tension that hung between us like a storm. That night, in the quiet of the estate, I lay in my room, mind racing. The memory of the scandal, the way we'd woken up together, helpless and confused, haunted me. I hated that it had happened, hated that Adrian looked at me like I had caused it. But a darker, stranger part of me couldn't deny the pull I felt toward him, the way my body ached for closeness even as my mind screamed against it. Days passed, and the tension only escalated. Each accidental touch, each shared glance, made the air between us heavier, charged with emotions neither of us were willing to admit. Adrian's lingering feelings for Daxton complicated every interaction, and my own Omega instincts betrayed me, making me ache for comfort and protection in a way I had never dared before. It was a delicate, dangerous dance. One wrong step, one slip of words, and the fragile truce between us would shatter completely. And yet, in the quiet moments, when no one was watching, I could feel Adrian's eyes on me, watching, analyzing. I could sense the conflict in him, the alpha dominance, the lingering love for my brother, and an undeniable pull toward me. I hated it. I hated him for making me feel like this. I hated myself for feeling it. And I hated that, despite everything, a small, stubborn part of me couldn't stop hoping that maybe, just maybe, he didn't hate me as much as he said he did. But even as I clung to that fragile hope, a darker truth lingered at the edges of my mind. I didn't know who had drugged us or why, but I knew this. Nothing would ever be simple again. Not between me and Adrian. Not with Daxton hovering somewhere in the shadows. And certainly not with the scandal hanging over us like a storm cloud, ready to burst at any moment. The days ahead promised tension, arguments, and impossible choices. But even in the midst of fear and confusion, one truth remained clear. I couldn't ignore Adrian. I couldn't stop feeling him. And I couldn't run from the storm that had begun the night we were trapped together, helpless and exposed, in a way I would never forget. The morning I found out I was pregnant, my world tilted sideways. I had gone to the doctor quietly, hoping for some private reassurance that this nightmare wouldn't get worse. But when the nurse handed me the test results, the paper trembling in my hands, I felt my knees buckle. Pregnant. Not by choice. Not by design. But undeniably, irrevocably, carrying Adrian's child. My Omega instincts recoiled at the reality, mingling panic, fear, and a strange, vulnerable longing I couldn't name. And Adrian, he had to find out eventually. I didn't know how I was going to tell him. The last time we had been alone, he had accused me of setting up the entire scandal, his anger and hurt slicing me to the bone. His eyes, sharp, stormy, unyielding, had made me shrink, had made me feel like the villain of a story I hadn't even chosen to star in. When I finally gathered the courage to face him, he was waiting in the study, pacing with his long strides, jaw tight, fists clenched. I swallowed hard, my heart hammering. "Adrian." I started, voice shaking. He cut me off instantly, eyes narrowing. "Don't tell me you planned this, Omega. Don't tell me you seduced me, because I swear." "I didn't," I blurted, words tumbling out in desperation. "I didn't plan anything. Nothing. It wasn't like that. I paused, gathering courage. "I'm pregnant." The world seemed to freeze. His hands dropped from where they had been tensed at his sides. His mouth opened and closed, searching for words that wouldn't come. I could see the storm raging behind his eyes. The alpha dominance, the lingering love for Daxton, the fury, the confusion, and something else. Something softer, though fleeting, like a crack in a wall. "You're pregnant." His voice was low, dangerous, incredulous. "With my child?" "Yes," I whispered, voice barely audible, trembling. It wasn't planned. I didn't want this. I swear, Adrian. I didn't do anything. I didn't seduce you. He took a sharp step toward me, making me instinctively recoil. The scent of him, alpha, commanding, impossible, hit me like a physical force. I hated how my Omega instincts betrayed me, how my body reacted to his nearness even as my mind screamed at me to flee. He ran a hand through his hair, voice rough and full of pain. You're lying to me. This is your fault. You've ruined everything. He stopped suddenly, shaking his head, frustration twisting his expression. I can't. I don't even know what I feel. And yet, his voice cracked. I can't stop thinking about it. About you. About last night. I flinched at his words, my chest tightening. He hated me, blamed me. Yet there was a pull, a heat between us I couldn't ignore. My omega instincts quivered in response, sending a wave of shame and desire through me. I hated that I wanted him. Hated that my body reacted when all I wanted was safety, protection, distance. The weeks that followed were a nightmare of forced proximity and scrutiny. Both families, eager to protect their reputations, insisted on a solution: marriage. They argued that a union would cover the scandal, provide legitimacy, and prevent public humiliation. My protests were met with cold authority. Adrian's resentment made negotiations brutal. I will not marry you, Adrian said one evening, voice taut with anger, his silver eyes stormy. I don't love you. I never wanted this. You're a homewrecker, a gold digger, and, his words faltered. I'm supposed to be mourning him. And now I'm supposed to marry you. I didn't ask for any of this. I snapped, desperation clawing at me. I didn't do anything. I don't want to ruin anyone's life. I didn't seduce you. I didn't, my voice broke. You're an omega, he hissed. And omegas manipulate. You made me like this. And now, you're forcing me into this mess. I shrank under his fury, chest tight, tears threatening to spill. I wanted to flee, to disappear, but I had nowhere to go. I was trapped by family, by scandal, and now by a pregnancy that would bind me to him, whether I wanted it or not. The first night we spent alone in the marital suite after the wedding agreement was signed was unbearable. He refused to touch me. He refused to look at me except when necessary. And yet, the tension between us was electric, palpable. Every accidental brush, every shared glance, sent my omega instincts into overdrive. I hated it. I hated how my body betrayed me. I hated how I wanted him even as my mind screamed to stay away. Don't think this changes anything, Adrian said one night, voice low and dangerous. I don't trust you. I don't like you. And yet, his words trailed off, and his gaze lingered on me with a strange intensity. I can't stop thinking about last night. About what we. I know, I whispered, my voice trembling. I feel it too. I hate it, but I can't. I can't stop feeling anything either. He didn't answer, only stared, eyes dark, conflicted. And in that silence, I realized something terrifying. The attraction, the tension, the pull between us was no longer just about blame or scandal. It was deeper, dangerous, uncontrollable. As days turned into weeks, our interactions became a delicate balance of hostility and reluctant care. Adrian's anger flared unpredictably, but so did moments of vulnerability. And I clung to the smallest gestures, the tiniest cracks in his armor, desperate for a hint that maybe he didn't hate me as much as he claimed. Even in the forced proximity, even under the shadow of scandal and resentment, one truth became clear. Nothing would ever be simple between us. Not with Daxton hovering like a ghost in the background, not with the scandal threatening to consume us, and certainly not with Adrian, my furious, impossible, and intoxicating alpha, standing so close, drawing me in with every heated look. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The library had never felt so suffocating. Shadows clung to the corners like dark whispers, and the chandelier's light flickered faintly over the polished wooden floor. I should have known something was wrong the moment Daxton summoned me here. My omega instincts had screamed at me to run, to hide, to refuse, but the pull of curiosity, the lingering obligation of being family, kept me rooted to the spot. He didn't greet me with his usual smugness. No, today there was something different in the sharp lines of his face, the glint in his eyes. It was fury. Pure, unrestrained fury. You, Daxton hissed as I stepped into the room, voice tight with venom. You ruined everything. Do you have any idea what you've done? I froze, my chest tightening. I don't understand. Don't pretend, Jory. His voice cracked, anger laced with spite. That night was supposed to be mine. Mine. And yet, here you are, standing in front of me, carrying what should have been my claim. My child. My advantage. I felt my knees weaken, hands clenching at my sides. I didn't plan any of this. I wasn't supposed to. You weren't supposed to? Daxton bellowed, stepping closer, eyes wild. You were supposed to stay out of the room. You were supposed to let me have him. Let me secure Adrian, let me bind him, let me control everything. And you, stupid, pathetic little fool. You waltzed in and took it all from me. My chest tightened with fear and disbelief. I stumbled back slightly. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't. Daxton's lips curled into a cruel, almost manic grin. Of course you didn't, did you? That's what makes you so infuriating. You had no idea what you were doing. And yet, you ruined my plan. My perfect plan. My Omega instincts screamed at me. His fury, his hatred. It wasn't just directed at me for being in the room. No, it was personal. He hated me for existing in the moment he had coveted. He hated me for stealing his control, his opportunity, his claim. Please. I tried to speak, voice trembling. It's not like that. I didn't. Daxton slammed his hand on the table between us, making the papers jump. Shut up. I don't want excuses. You think I care about your innocence? You think I care that you didn't intend this? No. You exist in my way, Jory. And now Adrian he's yours. Not mine. Anymore, and I will make sure you regret this. I took a step back, heart hammering. My Omega instincts coiled, every nerve on fire. This wasn't just anger. It was a predatory rage, focused entirely on me. I could barely breathe, could barely think, as he circled like a predator sizing up its prey. And the best part, he said, leaning down slightly, voice soft and poisonous, is that he'll trust you. He'll comfort you. He'll tell you everything, and you'll believe you have power over him. But in the end, I'll still win. I always win. Because he will always choose me, do you understand, Jory? I should have been the one. Not you. My stomach lurched. The reality of what had happened. The drugging, the scandal, the fact that I was pregnant with Adrian's child instead of Daxton. Hit me like a tidal wave. My hands flew to my stomach instinctively, trembling. I didn't plan any of this. I didn't want it. Daxton laughed, a harsh, venomous sound. You didn't want it? He leaned back, eyes narrowing, fury simmering just below the surface. Of course not. That's what makes you so exasperating. You're weak, you're naive, and yet you took everything from me without even knowing it. Do you have any idea how furious I am, Jory? How much I hate you for this? I swallowed hard, Omega instincts flaring, as the room seemed to shrink around me. My pulse thundered in my ears. Every fiber of my body wanted to flee, to hide, to vanish, but I couldn't. I couldn't let him see my fear fully, or give him the satisfaction. Then, a presence made the hairs on my neck stand up. A cold, heavy, undeniable weight that made my chest tighten in ways I couldn't explain. Adrian. I hadn't noticed him slip in, hadn't heard him approach, but I felt it immediately. The quiet power, the controlled fury, the intensity of his gaze on Daxton. And then, I realized, he was listening. Every cruel word. Every braggadocious plan. Every declaration of hatred and obsession. Daxton didn't notice, continuing his tirade, oblivious. And you, he hissed at me. You'll try to use this, won't you? You'll comfort him, tell him the truth as if you're noble, as if you deserve his trust. You'll think you're clever, Jory, but I see through it. I always see through it. And I hate you even more for thinking you could take what's mine. Adrian's silver eyes narrowed, a low growl vibrating through the room. You think you're clever, Daxton, he said, voice low and dangerous. But you've underestimated both of us. You've underestimated Jory, and you've underestimated me. Daxton spun toward him, fury cracking his calm facade. Adrian, it's not what you think. It is, Adrian said, stepping closer, the air around him electric. You drugged us. You tried to manipulate everything. And now you've failed. Completely. You've exposed your weakness, your cruelty, your obsession. And I'm not going to let you hurt him, or me anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The shift in Adrian's tone, the protective edge in his voice, it sent shivers down my spine. My Omega instincts twitched uncontrollably. The tension, the danger, the intensity, it was overwhelming. And yet a part of me wanted it. Wanted him. Daxton's smirk faltered, replaced by a look I had never seen before. Pure rage, laced with humiliation. You can't. You don't understand I was supposed to be. No. Adrian snapped, voice low, raw, controlled. I'm not yours. Not now, not ever. You've ruined your own plan, and now you're exposed. And you'll regret ever thinking you could control us. I felt tears prick my eyes, a mixture of relief, fear, and the impossible heat of desire. Adrian wasn't just angry. He was standing for me, watching over me, protecting me in a way that made my heart ache. My omega instincts flared, trembling with every instinct of fear, need, and longing. Daxton's rage boiled over. You think you've won? You think this changes anything? I'll find a way. You'll see. I will make sure. Adrian stepped even closer to me, close enough that I felt his warmth, the subtle intoxicating scent that made my chest tighten and my knees weak. His hand brushed mine, tentative but commanding. We survive him, Jory. Not him, not the scandal, not his cruelty. We survive together. I swallowed hard, trembling, omega instincts flaring uncontrollably. Together, I whispered, barely daring to hope. The storm of emotions in the room, the hatred, the betrayal, the manipulation, the scandal, and now the undeniable pull between Adrian and me, made the world feel simultaneously too big and too small. Yet, for the first time since the incident, I felt a flicker of hope. No matter Daxton's fury, no matter the chaos, no matter the pregnancy or the scandal, I wanted Adrian. All of him. And somehow, against all odds, I felt he wanted me too. And in that moment, I understood the truth. We were bound together, not by Daxton's manipulation, not by circumstance, not by scandal, but by something far stronger. Something dangerous. Something undeniable. Even amidst the storm, we would survive. Together,